Oh, gamers, did you know warp zones are not rewards? According to OTG Gaming, they aren't. I'm not sure what he means by this. Let's just find out. Take it away.
Do you remember the first time you found a warp zone as a kid?
I do, actually. It was actually in the original Super Mario Brothers. It was the first game I ever played, because I think my mom found an NES at like a car boot sale. And I remember running across the top and finding a warp zone. And I was like, oh my god. I was very fascinated. And I was happy that I could skip the world 4. Other warp zones that I first had in... What did I do? What else did I find warp zones in? I think I remember... I played a lot of like the GBA Mario World port. The Super Mario Advance, whatever it was called. I think I ended up... I remember the first time I found Star World. Okay, I think that's my proper first time. It was... what's it? Yeah, like Super Mario World. The GBA port. I found Star Wars. I remember finding that on my own. I'm just like, what the fuck? What the fuck? That's crazy. That's crazy. I love warp zones. Warp zones are great.
Didn't that feel amazing?
It did.
Like you stumbled upon something.
You found the secret? I did. I found this. I found the Star World, and then like months later, I found about the Special World. I was like, what the fuck? I was like shocked. Because like I found the Star Road, and I'm like, okay, that's all the secrets in the game, right? But then I found Star Road and a special one. I'm like, and then it all became like autumn, and then like Mario was like ahead, like the Koopas were like a Mario. I was like fucking blown away when I saw that. Trust me.
That was never supposed to be found. Like you were cheating. But it wasn't cheating.
I wouldn't say it was cheating. It was like it felt like a nice little like reward. You know, you got to jump ahead in the game. You know,
it was something worse. It was the game asking you not to play it. Oh, I thought I was gonna get an interesting video essay. Looks inside. Oh, it's Unc posting. Oh. Okay. Okay, sure, brother. Okay. Hidden pipes.
Is this April Fool's? Unfortunately not. Cousin's birthday. You turned 31 and you uploaded this when you turned 31. Same age as me, mate.
Doors. You find one and suddenly you're skipping half the game. But the reality is, warp zones...
Well, you're not skipping, like you're jumping ahead. And I feel like skipping, like skip kind of has a negative connotation behind it. You're not really skipping, like you're just jumping ahead. You could play those levels if you wanted to. Just kind of jumping ahead, being a bit cheeky, you know?
Created to be found. Their existence wasn't an accident, and they were also not meant to be top secret.
Well, I imagine not, otherwise they wouldn't be in the game. But like also, like, you know, they were talked about in, like magazines, they were talked about like amongst the playgrounds. I feel like if people who made this sort of like thing knew that people would find them, I don't think they'd include them. Like, I think like if they didn't want people to find them, they wouldn't have included warp zones. You know, I think like that would be the case. That's what I'm thinking.
Intentional. So that raises a question: why would developers create a game and then let you skip most of it?
As a fun little like, hey, look what I can do. Like, you don't have to do it. You know, it's just kind of funny that you can do that. Yeah.
We tend to think of warp zones as rewards. You explore, you experiment, you do something unusual. And the game says, all right, you earn this. It feels like a bonus, but
it is.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Because warp zones, in reality, don't give you more. They
give you less. Isn't it really nice that I, as the player, have the choice to interact with a warp zone or not? It's just kind of like, it's just a neat little bonus that you found this. You can choose to use it or not. Like, the implication I'm making is that if you find a warp zone, you have to use it. Like, if I found a warp zone in, like a game that I wanted to play more, I'm like, oh, I won't, I'll just do that, you know? It's a bit like, I finished Spit Fiction with my fiance, like, a couple months back. They have, like, these bonus little areas that you can explore. That's kind of how I view warp zones. I could go to that bonus area and do that. But I could just keep playing the game normally if I wanted to as well. It's the same warp zones. Like, oh, it's neat, I found a warp zone. Don't want to use it? No, but like it's good that I found it. Neat. I'll keep playing normal. I could use it. You control the buttons you press.
Remove parts of the game that are already there. And
no, you're being a bit of a cheeky goober and jumping ahead. That's what you're doing, yeah.
Levels, the content, are the point. Why is the game helping you avoid them? And it's not just
because you kind of want to reach the end to brag to your friends that you beat the game. At least when you were a kid, that was the goal, right? Like, 'cause when I play a game now, I kind of want to play all the levels and experience the contents of that game. Like as a kid, yeah, I loved warp zones, bro. I got to jump ahead. I got to beat the game. I had to go, nah. I beat Mario on the Game Boy. You didn't beat it. Haha. Yeah, I love that. That was amazing content. I would say if that was the only argument I could see against warp zones is if that's like the be all end all of every reward you get in the game. I could see that being a bit annoying. Like, let's say a game like instead of having like alt skins you could collect, instead of having like other like the only reward in the game is warp zones. I can see that being a bit underwhelming. But like if there's like a bunch of different things you can do in the game plus warp zones, it's just a nice little cool thing, you know?
One game and not necessarily even tied to the concept or idea of a warp zone. For example, in Super Mario
You can even save in those games back then. I'm hoping he mentions that. I wasn't actually going to point that out, but I'm hoping he mentions that like the original purpose was there. But even outside of the original purpose, where like you could save games, so you needed warp zones to get back to where you were, they're just kind of neat, you know?
You can skip massive chunks of the game within minutes using a warp zone. But in other early games, like
you control the buttons you press, very base, but if you consider that some people have no self-restraint and always have to be as efficient as possible, treating games like a test. That's how I feel like people when they play Mario Odyssey, honestly, some degree. By this logic, SM2 warp zones are actually great. Oh, that's true! Oh my god! Oh my god, that's actually... Oh, we didn't actually think about that, did we, chat? We didn't actually think about that. What does he think? Because if you go to World 3 and you go back to World 1, you get to experience the content again. Does he address... I don't know if he's going to address that, though.
Legend of Zelda, you can reach late game areas early if you want. And then take the Metroid series, for example. Experienced players can skip entire areas completely using advanced techniques.
Yeah, sequence breaking.
So these are different games, but the same outcome. And keep in mind...
Well, generally, those sequence breaking, generally, in a lot of cases, they're not intended, whereas warp zones are usually intended for you to find. I'd argue that, personally.
They're part of the game design. The fastest way to play is not to play most of it. Look at when this...
I would say it would be cooler if games like had methods of sequence breaking over warp zones, maybe, but like, I don't know, it's kind of like two different things. I don't know.
Mechanic was at its peak. In the 1980s, right into the early 90s. This is when games were very limited.
Yeah.
Cartridge storage was so small, it feels absurd by today's standards. The original Super Mario...
We know. Oh, is this the part of the video essay where he treats us like we've never watched the video essay? Oh god, it's been so long since I watched the video essay, I forgot how pretentious they can be sometimes. This is the part where you pretend, guys, did you know the NES had a really small amount of graphics? I'm just like, or space? I'm like, yeah. The kind of person that's going to watch this kind of video essay knows that, but sure, okay. Warp zones make player 2 worse for me personally. Make 2-player worse for me. Oh, do they? Can't believe, why would warp zones do this?
Mario Brothers fits in about 40 kilobytes of data.
Wow, really?
So every enemy, every sound, every level had a storage cost, which makes the decision to include a warp zone even more strange. Because instead of...
But like, oh, he's he not going to mention that? I didn't talk about it because I'm just like, it's the obvious thing. What do you... Yeah, they had such small space, so they couldn't implement a save point. So they kind of built a warp zone in as like your kind of save point sort of thing. That's kind of what they did. Like, if anything, it makes more sense. We didn't have battery backups back then. Like, warp zones literally were necessary. Like, for people who didn't want to like play the game from the very beginning again.
Their content. Developers kept giving you ways to skip it. The first warp zone in Super Mario Bros. Shows up in World 1-2. That's just minutes into the game, right at the start. Really, that's not
I would guess that 1-2 is minutes into the game, yes.
Reward for mastering the game. That's making skipping large parts of it a priority. Crystal Castles in the arcade.
Well, you have to find it. That's the fun of it. The fun is finding it. Oh, get rid of me. This is why I don't watch video essays anymore.
Battletoads for the NES.
Kid
Chameleon for the Sega Genesis. These are all popular games known for their warp zones. You can probably think of many more. So this spans different platforms, different genres, but the same mechanic. Players are constantly being handed a way to jump forward.
No, they're not. You have to go out and find it. No, they don't just like literally go, like, finding the skip point in 1-2 is harder than the regular exit. And yeah, once you know about it, you can opt to take it or not. Like, whenever I'm replaying the original SMB, sometimes I want to go for like a speed run. Sometimes I want to go for a full game run. And it's nice that the game gives me that option. It's just literally more options. The things that Nintendo are a bit allergic to in the modern day. I don't know what?
Question is, why? Is it simply the developers being generous? No. It's because they were trying to trick you.
No, or was it that they didn't have enough space on the...
Those early games had two problems. The first problem was a repetition one. For most games at the time, there was no save system, so every time you died,
mentioning it. Okay, yeah.
you started over.
Yeah.
Which means players were repeating the same levels, the same sections, over and over and over. Now that creates an issue, because the more you repeat something, the more boring it tends to become.
God, I fucking hate video essays. I fucking hate video essays. Holy shit. Yeah, I would never. Hang on. Firstly, one nonsense statement. And second, that's not even true. What do you mean if the more you repeat something, the boring it gets? If I keep doing keepy uppies, it means I get better at keepy uppies and I'll be football and I might be chosen for the football team. One nonsense statement that could be debunked in like 2 seconds. I can't stand video essays. I hate all video essays now. We need to delete them off the platform. Is he going to say SMB2 is Doki Doki? It's Doki Doki Literature Club, actually. Is the floor made out of floor? Listen, I thought this... Hang on. It's this year. I thought this version of video essays died. I'm honest, I thought they all died. I don't get it. Jumping is a thing that you do in video games. So... what is it about jumping that makes games games? Let's jump into it. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, get rid of me.
Because the more you repeat something, the more boring it tends to become.
Yeah.
So developers needed a release valve, and warp zones solved that problem. They let players skip what they'd already seen. Not as a reward, but more like a relief. But
like, again, if it was more of a relief, then wouldn't they just tell you where the warp zones were? The fact that you find them is the reward in and of itself. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, man.
Problem. The second problem,
what was the problem? Gone.
as we mentioned, was scale. Cartridges were tiny.
Yeah.
Often there wasn't room to build a very long game. But it still needed to feel like...
Hang on. Okay, there's no patron. You know what I was going to say? You know, like, seeing someone with a patron is like, there's a 70% chance the video sucks. Seeing, like, random GIFs is also, like, there's another 70% chance that the video sucks. I don't think I've ever seen a video that just uses random GIFs at random points that I really liked. I'm going to be honest with you. How video essays be moving when they talk about this... It's just, I don't get why don't you just talk like a normal human being? Why don't you just talk? I know this is not how you normally talk. That's what I understand with you people. What's with the pretense? You're not Shakespeare. Jesus Christ.
A very long
I don't get it. Listen, I can't stand this video essay. If you like this version of video essay, good for you, okay? I can't fucking stand this shit, okay?
It still needed to feel like one in order to add value. Now, this is where developers got tricky using that same warp zone solution.
Yeah.
Because if players don't see everything in one playthrough, the game feels larger than it actually is. So warp zones help split the experience. Different players see different parts of the game depending on which route they take. One playthrough can feel completely different from another, depending...
Does it, though? Does it? I would say it just feels shorter. I wouldn't say it feels... I don't when I play SMB and I go for a speed run, honestly, the game feels fundamentally different to like a full game run. It's shorter. Honestly, there's anything mechanically that's so different about it. If there was maybe like a way to reach the warp zone that you otherwise don't interact with in the regular game, then maybe. But a lot of times, no, that's not really the case. Like it's not like actually, I'm thinking of an example. New Soup 2, actually. The warp zones in that are like you get shot out of a cannon and Mario runs like super speed and you can't stop. So like that's a type of game design that you don't get to interact with outside of the warp zone, which I think is quite interesting. But like other than that, like I can't think of another example. That's probably the only one I can think of. But like it's fundamentally different by doing a warp zone playthrough than a normal playthrough. I like that iteration warp zone. I did too. I actually like that one. So it's so interesting that I found an example for your shitty point, and I'm guessing you're not going to use it. I'm guessing you're not. I'm presuming so. I have to speak slowly because I think you, the viewer, are a moron. Joe! I'm sorry, is the cartridge small or something? I still don't quite get. Neither do I'm still stuck on that bit. I'm really slow. Can you like talk a bit slower for me, please? You don't like really need to really slow it down. Let's just jump right into this, okay? Help me out here, brother.
On the warps you use.
Yeah.
So with this one system,
he sounds like he's high. With this one system,
developers saw to constraints. They would do repetition, and they preserved scale. And for a while, that worked. But both of those solutions depend on one assumption. That
okay, why do you sound normal when I've 2 times speeded you? What is happening here right now? I put on 2 times, by the way. You can see it right there. You can see it right there. Why is it like he sounds normal? What? Okay, I'm keeping it at 2 times speed, but let me ready.
You use. So with this one system, developers solved 2 constraints. They reduced repetition and they preserved scale. And for a while, that worked. But both of those
normally say, Jesus Christ, this video, even though the video is still shit, I think the content is still shit. Holy, how much more watchable is this? Jeez, how much more watchable is this? Good grief, it's not like nails on a chalkboard. It's just nails. That's all it is now.
Solutions depend on one assumption.
Like really long nails that you have to like
scale.
Bite into.
For a while, that worked. But both of those solutions depend on one assumption. That players wouldn't abuse the mechanic. As it turns out, they would. Initially...
What do you mean players? You control the buttons you press. If you don't want to skip the game, you don't have to skip the game. What do you mean it'd get abused? Who is abusing the warp zone? Can we call the police? Can we call the... I'm actually concerned. Why are people abusing warp zones?
The warp zones felt like secrets. You found one, and it felt like you weren't supposed to. Like you just stumbled across an Easter egg that no one else had ever seen or heard of. But that feeling didn't last. Because the moment players understood warp zones, they stopped being secrets. They became strategy. And that changed everything. Because players don't just skip repetition. They skip anything they can. Entire levels became optional. Not because they were bad. Well, I guess sometimes they were. But mostly because they were inefficient. For most players...
Okay, I think I'm going to guess the overall point you're making, because, I mean, maybe you might make this point, maybe you might not. I'm guessing the conclusion you might draw is, like, players will optimize the fun out of games. So if it's optimal to skip levels, then players will. Which, I get the whole, like, people will optimize the fun out of games in, like, multiplayer games where there's, like, a meta, right? And, like, things like that. In a single-player experience, there is no, like, necessarily need, quote unquote, to like play the game as efficiently as possible. That's entirely on you. Like, yeah, in Black Ops 1, it kind of sucked that I had to use the FAMAS with dual mags. Otherwise, because that's what everyone was using and that was the meta. And back then, patches for balancing was not normalized. So unfortunately, everyone was using the FAMAS with dual mags. In Donkey Kong Country, if someone wants to like use the barrel to skip the level, it's kind of on them. Like, I don't know what to say. Sure. Like, if someone told me they experienced Donkey Kong Country and I'd use warps for the lot of it, I'd be like, sick, you know? That's kind of it. I don't know what you mean by this. It's kind of your own fault. It's like, I mentioned I heard this sort of thing with Mario Odyssey, But like I remember, I don't know who I spoke to, but like I remember someone saying the moons are so easy to get, and like you don't need to get a lot of them to move on to the next area. And I'm just like, well, if you don't want to move on to the next area, you could just stay in the area and keep exploring. And they were like, but I feel like I have to keep moving on. And it's like, well, no, you could just, if you like the area, you can stay and just like keep collecting moons because like the area is fun. That's kind of how the game. But there were some people that swear that, like, oh man, it took me so easy to. I didn't really get into it because I just had to collect 12 moons and I was on my way. And it's like, well, you didn't have to be on your way. You could have just kept collecting moons. That's what it sounds like to me. I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, if people want to use warp zones, let them use warp zones. I will use them or not, depending on how I feel. Well, is it litmus test? I feel like it was because I feel like I kept like seeing that take on the internet every now and again, not too often. But I spoke to someone in real life who had that same take, and I'm just like, what odd thing to say. I think the only place that I was happy to just leave was like Lost Kingdom. I really didn't like that place. But that was the only one where I got the moon requirement. I'm just like, I'm out of here. Every other kingdom, when I hit the moon requirement, I'm like, oh, I just want to stay around, especially Luncheon and like Metro. I love those places. I was like, okay, that's neat, you know? Did a speedrunner ruin his life? I think his ex was a speedrunner or something. I don't know what it is. Some people complain, I could skip over the wall tier to get by flying over. I could skip so many puzzles. By cheesing them, they're taking away the fun. And just like, don't do it again. Like, if cheesing the game is fun for you, then cheese the game. If it's not fun for you, don't cheese the game. Like, what do you mean? Like, the fun is whatever you, in a single player game, the fun is whatever you make of it. If you want to interact with the game proper, then interact with the game proper. There's some like games where like I have fun cheesing, and there's some ones where I'm not, I don't, and it's just like, it's kind of whatever you make it. I'm so confused by this. But if that's the overall point he's making, then yeah, it'll just be like you control the buttons you press, I guess.
Entire levels became optional, not because they were bad, well, I guess sometimes they were, but mostly because they were inefficient. For most players, eventually a game stops being something you explore and becomes something you just want to finish. One recent game developer put it this way. He said, given the opportunity...
Oh, there it is, gamers. I knew it. Given the opportunity, players will optimize the fun of any game. This was something I originally considered to be an alien concept until I realized that I do this and so does everyone else. Well, again, I think this is more important. Firstly, I think you have to make the optimization not like more fun. Like, for example, let's say people are like sequence breaking in like Super Metroid. If you find people are consistently sequence breaking, is the act of sequence breaking more fun than engaging with the game proper? That's what it is. So like in TOTK, if you can fly over everything, if the player's having more fun doing that than actually engaging the game, yeah, if the game is fun to cheese, then that's the problem. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, yeah. If the game is more fun to cheese, then you, the designer, have a problem where the cheesing of the game is more fun. In the case of Call of Duty, my previous example, you wanted to win when you played Call of Duty. It didn't care the gun you use. You just wanted to get an SR-71 into Chopper Gunner into Attack Dogs. You didn't care how you did it. That's what you wanted to do. But like in a Zelda game, like the point is like you solve the puzzles and you get the shrines and like you do. So if the player's skipping over that, but that method is not as fun, I don't think you have to worry. You know, I don't think you have to. Personally, I think you could just let the player optimize the fun out of the game and just enjoy the game that way. I don't know what to say. Considering how horrifically Snell places Essay is, I mean, it's no surprise he hates speedrunning. Damn. It's like the consequence of warp zones that you could play the way as the player prefer, but that can't be right because warp zones are bad in grown games.
Players will explore and become something you just want to finish. One recent game developer put it this way. He said, given the opportunity, players will optimize the fun out of the game. And the use of warp zones is a good example of that. At some point, you stop asking what's next and you start asking, what can I skip? So although the warp zone idea initially set out to solve the problem of repetition and scale, in the process, it created an entirely new one, at least for developers. They trained players to see the game as something to optimize. And once that mindset takes hold, you're not really playing the game anymore. You're reducing it for maximum efficiency. And that mindset would have
again, if the optimization is more fun than the actual game design, then you have an issue. If the game design is more fun than the optimization, then I guess people will just have, I don't know. I just don't really care. Also, this quote is game design is famous for complex strategy series games, but optimizing the fun of is far more prevalent. This doesn't translate to Mario 1. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to look up, like, where does this guy, like, who is this guy, basically? Like, this gentleman? I was just about to ask, like, who is this guy, Soren Johnson? Because if he's, like, the director of, like, a multiplayer game, or as you said, a strategy game, that obviously involves, like, in a strategy game, it behooves you not to have an easy, like, a way to optimize the game and, like, make it less fun. It behooves you to make the optimal gameplay loop fun as well. You know, Civilization. Oh, seriously, yeah, I know about Civ, yeah. So it behooves you to make the optimal way to play the game fun. And then you have a big issue, especially in the strategy game. If the strategy is just being Ungus Bungus, then you failed as a strategy game. In a platformer, like I guess if I'm using a warp zone in a platform to skip levels, and I'm just kind of like, it's just an option for me, you know? If I find a secret, oh, it's kind of neat that I found a secret. But if I get to skip 6 levels and I'm like, well, I can do that if I want, but like I don't have to. Like, yeah. So the hallmark of a real-time strategy is to play optimally to work around a push. Yeah, exactly. So you got to make sure the process of optimization is fun. PvP multiplayer games are based off winning matches, thus the meta is important. That doesn't mean having a more effective path like a game like Mario is necessarily bad. Yeah, exactly. I also find it funny that this video about warp zones look bad. It becomes more bearable by speeding it up. Definitely quite intriguing, huh? Definitely quite intriguing.
Of warp zones is a good example.
And I'm jumping ahead
At some point, you stop for developers. They train players to see the game as something to optimize. And once that mindset takes hold, you're not really playing the game anymore. You're reducing it for maximum efficiency. And that mindset would have a huge effect on game design moving forward. Once players learn they can skip parts of a game, they start looking for skips everywhere. Not just the ones the developers planned. Now it's, what can I break? What glitches can be found? What's the fastest route? Warp zones.
Yeah, that's funny. Bro, I do that all the time. Are you kidding me? When I play a single player game and I discover that something's a bit jank, that's just funny. I love that shit. Yeah, why not? Again, I've ignored the giant Morkin in the corner of my stream, but like Morkin the entire time has been saying that's the point of it. Look at it, he's been saying this the whole time. And to be honest, I've avoided reading his chat message because I'm just like, okay, he's gonna mention speedrunning at some point, but I don't think he has. And I'm just like, yeah, there's a whole like fun thing behind that, where you get to like speedrun a game and like optimize it to like be as fast as possible. That's like a legitimate form of playing a game that is quite fun for some people. I don't really find a lot of fun in that in a lot of cases, but if people enjoy it, then people enjoy it. It's annoying how he's framing it like a gaming epidemic when in reality only a small chunk of people are abusing optimizations in games. Yeah, exactly. I feel like this could be an interesting conversation about like multiplayer games or like strategy games. I feel like this could be very, very interesting if he was talking about this in regards to a certain genre or a space in gaming. But a lot of his background footage has just been like games that like it doesn't really matter if there's a warp zone, at least from my observation. I don't know about Kid Chameleon personally, so I can't vouch for that. But I know about Donkey Kong and its various barrels you can use to skip levels like within levels. Obviously, I know about Super Mario Brothers. So I'm not really, and obviously Battletoads. Yeah, fuck yeah, I want to skip Battletoads. That game's hard as shit. I'm skipping all the levels I can, bro. You kidding me?
Just changed player behavior. They changed player values. Efficiency replaced curiosity. Speed replaced exploration. This is really where optimization culture begins. Speedrunning, finding game exploits in the most efficient strat.
Yeah, okay, you say speedrunning with like a slur. What's wrong with speedrunning?
As the cool kids say. They all have their roots in the idea of the warp zone.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God.
Finding game exploits in the most efficient strats, as the cool kids.
Bro, I just want to say, guys, this GIF is like older than you. Guys, I want to get this GIF is older than you guys. I've been seeing this GIF for like fucking years, bro. It's older than you, chat. It's older than you.
They all have their roots in the idea of the warp zone. Now, developers eventually realized that the warp zone created a problem that they didn't intend. They didn't just give players freedom, they gave them a reason to ignore huge chunks of the game that the developer had worked hard on. So design had to push back. That's why in most modern games, skipping ahead is not part of the design. You need upgrades, keys, abilities to access the next part of a game. Now, legitimate
also like the need for them wasn't really as prevalent in that you can just save a game whenever, you know? So obviously like the need for them as like in a practical sense is gone. And as for like as a fun little bonus, I guess games just found a way to do like fun bonuses in different ways. Like for example, like, yeah, they don't do warp zones in games anymore, but you know what they also don't do in single player games anymore? They also don't do cheats. So I think it's just one of those things that just like kind of just gone by the wayside, you know? And also there's a lot more like genres of games than there were before. There's like story games where you obviously don't want to skip anything. So there's entire genres where like a warp zone just wouldn't make sense, you know? And for the genres that like, say, platformers of the modern day, they found other ways to reward people that aren't skipping, you know what I mean? Like aren't warp zones, should I say? That aren't finding a warp zone. They've got skins. They don't do cheats anymore, unfortunately. I wish cheats were still a thing. I could like input a code and like get like infinite ammo or something. That'd be kind of funny. It's just different, really. 3D World had a ton of warp zones. Oh yeah, like 3D. I think Mario still does it as well. So his example of using Mario was quite strange, if you ask me.
Shortcuts still exist, but now they're controlled. They're gated. They have to be earned. Because letting players skip the experience is just not sustainable.
If anything, I think you should have made a video on that. The death of cheats in video games. Because like, I remember, this actually happened to me, like, I'm actually thinking about it. This happened to me a couple years back, chat, where like, I was talking about GTA to like, I was talking to like, who was I talking to? I remember I was like a co-worker's like son, basically. Like I was just watching him for like, he's like about like 12 years old. I was watching him while like his dad went to like the loo just to quickly to sort something, right? So I was just talking about video games, right? Obviously he plays GTA because he's a 12-year-old. So then obviously I remember, I played GTA as a kid. I remember you used to use the cheats and like, just like, yeah. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wait, you use cheats? What the hell? Why are you cheating? I was like, no, I mean, the art of cheats are gone, gamers. He didn't know. And I'm just like, no, like, well, no, I used to like infinite ammo and just like used it, you know, I used to be able to do that. Like, you don't do that? So, no, I play online with my friends. It's like, well, I do that on GTA Online as well, but like, I used to like, games used to have just like so many cheats back then. It was like, oh, that's just weird. I was like, yeah, I guess it was a bit weird. And meanwhile, inside, I'm just crying because I'm just like, he just cheat. Like, if anything, that should be the biggest death in like modern gaming. Genuinely, like, I love the fact that like, I remember this is like fucking throwaway shovelware game called Die Hard Vendetta on the GameCube. Right, one of the rewards you got for beating the game was you got some cheat codes. Like you got like infinite ammo, infinite health, big head mode. Oh, big head mode was such a classic one as well. Small head mode. Oh man, there's an art to it that's just gone. Unfortunately, that should be the real thing that's lost. Instead of making warp zones with never rewards, the lost art of cheats. I like, who was it that said, "Hang on, why is it when we watch videos like this we end up pitching a much better video idea?" That happens every time, doesn't it? Bad videos just get my creative juices flowing, don't they?
Warp zones didn't just shrink a game.
Oh, debug mode as well. Debug modes are so cool, man. I miss them. Bring them back.
Here's how to shrink every game. So in the end, warp zones weren't just about skipping levels. They signaled the first time developers had to admit something, that they couldn't control how players would experience their games. Because once you give players a way to skip, they don't just use it when they need it. They use it whenever they can. And from that point on, the experience...
They use it whenever they want to. You know, you said whenever they can. It's whenever they want to, yeah.
Defined by the game anymore. It's defined by the player. Warp zones didn't just change how games were built. They exposed something that was already true. That players aren't really trying to see everything. They're just trying to see it through to the end. And once a game allows
no, some gamers are trying to see it through to the like. Yeah, I could see the thing I don't understand, and that's why I fucking hate this genre of video essay, the pretentious smug video essay. Is he not necessarily wrong in that there's some players that will optimize the fun out of it? But like, but like, that's not everyone. Like, what do you mean? Like, what are we talking about here? It's the assumption that, like, this is everyone. And if this is an end, let's say this was a pandemic. Let's say, because I don't believe you when you say they designed warp zones back in the day, devs realized that, like, people were skipping their game, and as a result, they got rid of them. As opposed to, like, a changing of the times. Now we've got save points, so we don't need warp zones anymore. In the same way, like, cheats are gone, because, like, a lot of games are online now, and a lot of single-player games don't really, like, did pass on the torch of, like, giving you cheats, unfortunately. Sad, really. Could it just be that, or was it, like, literally, like, you mentioned like one quote. Like, was there something like in particular about game designers back then? Like that they said this, they just outright said this back in the day? They're like, yeah, warp zones were this, and that. That could be interesting. Instead you're positing some crackpot theory, but because you're like a video essayist, you got to act all smug and, you know, pretentious about it. That's the hasty generalization, huh? That's what it is. Unbelievable.
You just stop needing most of it. At some point, seeing the end becomes more important than how you got there. So let me ask you, when playing a new game, do you like
when I was a kid, yeah, I loved seeing the end. That was like the most important thing for me, yeah. But like as an adult, I kind of want to see the whole process through, you know? People play games the way they want. Yeah, no, I don't get it. And if anything, it kind of... Warp zones now just wouldn't be as much of an issue in single-player games. All the kids are playing Fortnite these days. They're not playing single-player shit, bro. I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
Your time and explore, or do you prefer just to optimize your way through it? Let me know in the comments below. And if you made it this far, new game, do you like to take your time and explore, or do you prefer just to optimize your way through it? Let me know in the comments.
Again, Moresty, like, you saying he's pretentious, that's a bit mean. The video essay in question.
So let me ask you, when playing a new game, do you like to take your time and explore, or do you prefer just to optimize your way through it? Let me know.
Yeah, guys, do you like the LGBT, or you fucking Nazi? Let me know in the comments below. I'm just like, what? Get rid of me. So retro, guys. So retro.
Let me know in the comments below. And if you made it this far, as always, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, happy gaming.
You better say thank you. This was fucking dog, broski. This is fucking dog. I had the 2-time speed just to get through it, mate. This was shit. What do you mean? If anything, I feel like, warp zones were never rewards could have been interesting if you gave us a lot more evidence than, well, technically, do you see any warp zones now? Didn't think so. That was the whole bit, and then speed runners, they optimize the fun out of games. Someone, don't show this guy Andrew G. He might have a fucking aneurysm, eh? Jesus Christ, get him out of here. Yeah, I don't really have any words, because not only do you hit all the marks for the worst parts of the video essay format, but your thesis was a bit nonsensical. You didn't convince me. You barely brought any supporting evidence. And all in all, it just comes across as, true. We need Hello Neighbor. I used to have that on my OBS and I lost it. I don't know. It just comes across as you just being unk, boom, 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 unk, boom, boom, boom. Which is a shame because, like, as someone who's a bit of an unk who like loves certain aspects of how video games were back in the day that just simply don't exist, i.e., cheats. I think there's room to showcase to the new up and coming audience of gamers some of the best parts of games of old, and yet you've done none of this. So. All in all, yeah, just don't quit your day job, homie. All right, let's put it that way. Let's have a look at the comments, shall we? Although I might quit my day job, although the support you guys give me, who knows? He's attacking people for playing the games they bought the way they want to. Yeah, literally crazy work, honestly. Without a battery backup, it was the only way to save content you completed. Otherwise, unless you want to leave your console, yeah, literally, like, yeah. Yeah, literally. Just like the concept of, like, yeah, it's literally like running out of lives was never a punishment. Well, like, do you want to make that video essay as well? Like, running out of lives was never a punishment? Because if I'm being honest, it never really, that would make more sense. Because running out of lives was never really a punishment. It was just go do the bit again. I'm just like, it was a holdover from the arcade that I'm glad fucking finally is dead. I always thought warp zones were put in old games because battery backup so common time since you couldn't save. Yeah, people are just saying it. Yeah. Warp zones are responsible for the existence of speedrunning. It's not a take I expected there. Yeah, man. Honey, you're leaving me? Why? You're just not fast enough, babe. Pans to like a guy, looking up, pans to a guy, is summoning salt. Hey, just stole your girl, bro. No hard feelings, man. I promise I'll get him for this. That's what happened. I'm trying to bet that happened, gamers. I'll take that happening for 20 quid. Oh my god. When my sister and I played SMB3, we would always discuss how we wanted to play, get 1 or 2 warp whistles and go there. Seldom went straight to water. Yeah, look. Oh! No fucking way. You mean you used warp zones to play the game how you wanted to? Shut the front door, the back door, the screen door, the side door, the attic, your mum's door, your sister's door, your door. Shut the toilet doors as well. Shut them all. Shut it down. I can't believe this. I can't believe it. And everyone's just saying, yeah. Not on the NES. Yeah, I didn't have it on the NES. Yeah, literally. Winning is fun for everyone, but for a few players, winning alone isn't enough. The process of winning needs to be fun too. Yeah, well, my husband. You know what? Your husband's a great guy. How about that? Wise man. Tell me you've never lived in a world that same states without telling me. You're like, yeah, what does he think about save states? Like, what does he think about that? I'm kind of curious. What limited the abuse of warp zones in the original Super Mario is that the inexperienced player who made it straight to World 8.1 because Nintendo Power told him so wasn't going to do much about when he got there because of the sudden difficulty spike. Warping was only fun to get a sneak preview of the later parts of the game that you weren't ready for. Yeah, literally. I don't think I even mentioned that neither. That's actually a really good point. One thing I absolutely love about World 8 in the original Mario Bros. I think World 8 is genuinely one of like the best designed worlds. Like it's the best designed world in that game by like a country mile. And I think it's literally purpose built for this. I think it literally is. Because the moment you get to what, if you skip all the way to 8-1, what are you met with? You're met with an enemy that you've never seen before. the Buzzy Beetle. You're met with a 300 seconds on the clock, the only level to feature such a small time bank, which if you're taking your time, you can genuinely run out of time in that level, right? You bump into single wide gaps, which is again a game design concept you've never seen before, and as a result, you don't know you could run over. And you bump into like again so many weird things. So like it's the perfect everything that is in that level you've already seen if you played the game, but if you're jumping straight to that, you're bumped into so many new things. You're like, what the fuck? And then before that, you're overwhelmed and you're back to 1-1. Simple. It's such a wonderfully designed world. It really, really is. And people talk about 1-1, but no one talks about 8-1 to 4. Honestly, they're all just so stellarly designed. They really are for a game that old. This person said that left me unprepared for World 8, so I stopped until I got good at Worlds 1 through 7. Oh, crazy. When I play SMB3, I always try to collect all the warp whistles, but I never use them. I love the challenge of hidden items, but I don't want to skip over levels a lot. Wow, you got the choice? Wow. Crazy. Longest level. Yeah, it's the longest level in the game with no check. That's another thing. See, warp box gets me. That's another thing too. It was a very long level that had no checkpoints as well. I think 8-2 had checkpoints, isn't it? I don't think did 8-2 have a checkpoint? I feel like it did, but I don't remember. I know 8-3 didn't. Neither did the last level. If you're talking about 8-3, but I don't see anything on the rest. I think it's all just like fantastically designed. I think it's all just great. Also, another important detail for most games is lives are a very limited and valuable resource. Unless you master them and turn it the opposite way, levels usually create a more chance to lose lives. So skipping meant reaching the hardest part of the game with more lives, more opportunities to replay and learn how to beat them, which would get us our main objective, reaching a new part of the game still unknown to us. I love how everyone's just speaking about their own unique. I think, if anything, I find the comments way more interesting because, like, they're just talking about their own unique experiences, and I find it very interesting. Actually, I had no issues with warp zones back then because most games didn't have a save feature. It was a way to skip the world that you already did. Plus, the warp zone are hidden in a secret passage, and it was a reward for exploration. On the other hand, warp zones are useless in modern gaming because we can now save our games. Yeah, that's just either everyone's giving him the we don't need this anymore, by the way, or everyone's just telling him like their unique experience. This sounds like it was written by chat. I mean, I wasn't going to say it, but I'd say for your sake, it's actually a lose-lose situation. You either wrote this yourself, in which case it's fucking shit, or you used AI, in which case you're shit. It's either the video shit or you are. Which one is it? Either way, wash your hands, lads. Wash your hands, mate. Don't you love this genre of YouTube videos where it's a dude talking about something he doesn't know and doesn't like? Fucking A. Hey, couldn't have said it better myself, Marco Astorias. Couldn't have said it better myself. It's kind of the soul of YouTube. To share your thoughts and such. The issue is these creators love to present their thoughts as opinions as facts, which is not the soul of YouTube. Soul gamers, the soul. Yeah, crazy work. Yeah, literally, like that's the issue. It's like, again, could I believe that you think there's an element of, we literally saw it earlier, chat. We saw the Mario Kart World Toad's Factory one, right? That video was like presented as, even though I disagreed with the thesis statement, a lot of it was like, I think he did a very good job presenting it as like, this is just something I don't really like vibe with. I don't really, and in fact, in the end, he just outright said, yeah, I just don't like Nude's Toad's Factory because it's vibes, you know? And like, I don't think he was presenting it in such a way to seem like he was like, it's his opinion and all that. Let's say it's his way of the highway. Contrast that to this video. I think you've seen how to do it and how not to do it, you know? I think you've seen that in both cases. I legit don't know what 1-3 looks like. Well, that's kind of your fault, isn't it? It's your fault. Go play the game and find out, loser, and get back to me. What else have we got? Fast traveling in open world games is skipping the experience of walking. Is quick traveling ruining the gameplay experience too? Oh my. We didn't consider gamers. We were too busy thinking about what about reverse warp zones? Are they good? We didn't think about what about fast traveling? Oh. What about fast traveling games? I can't believe this. But you explore the destinations anyway. Hang on, what if somebody played the whole game and then used a warp zone? Would that be like fast traveling? Ego, would that be bad? Would it be? What about sprinting? Sprinting means you move faster so you experience less of the game. Do you want to... Interesting. I'm learning a lot about you. Players spending more time playing instead of going right to the end lives on. Even non-speedrunners could beat Breath of the Wild in 2 hours, but few people do that. Yeah, like, why would I want to do that when I could just play the whole game? Very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Interesting perspective. I disagree. It definitely wasn't. The premise of this video is accurate. The first time I realized I could cheese the airship levels with the people was the last time I bothered to play them as intended. Well, that's because in fact, no. The premise of the video is not accurate. In fact, it makes the opposite point. The reason you didn't like the airship levels is because they were boring auto-scrollers. Therefore, if you could just fly up to the top and just wait for the boss battle, perfect. But hang on, it's interesting you didn't use the P-Wing in other levels, because the other levels let you play themselves, or let you play at your own pace. Is that maybe like an intrinsic flaw with the auto-scroller system, and how it's kind of fucking boring? Because maybe like, ooh. So if anything, kind of makes my point, you know? I play to enjoy every bit of the game. Do you know what 1885 win? I like you. I like you a lot. I'm an S&B warp zone user, but with games like Elden Ring, I want to experience all of it. Up Chungus. Up Chungus indeed. The logic fails quickly when you know that a large number of games in this area had no saves or skipped at all. Contra had its 30 life code, so it was less difficult for developers to make it through the game. But that game didn't have a skip. There was also the reality in SMB world. Most worlds look similar, and nothing really new is introduced, so the idea of exploration isn't really a thing. So it'd be pretty boring to play if it was required to go through all 32 levels, since in the middle, 20 to 24 were mostly the same thing. But games like Battletoad, the levels were quite different, so there's at least some reason I'm interested in playing each of them without skipping. Danny, even a Checky came down, huh? Why drive to your job and skip everything when you can walk there? I'm learning a lot of gamers. Like, should I okay, technically, I live stream these and then I upload them to Moresty, right? Would it just be easier to like skip the live stream and then just go straight to? Because like, would I do? Is me using a warp zone on my channel's content ethical, gamers? Should I use a warp zone for my content? Just beam it straight to. In fact, let me beam it straight to your head. Actually, should I do that instead? Right into your VR goggles. Should we do that? I'm learning a lot actually. How would chat be included? I need to figure this out. Why sleep when you can stay up and experience more of the day? It's true. Honestly, I think we've had more interesting thoughts. Carlo videos or Arlo videos that use warp zones. Listen, you leave Carlo alone, okay? You leave Carlo alone. Either way, I'll leave it there. Okay, I've seen enough. Okay. Actually, let's sort by new. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Hang on, Jesus Christ. And this is the reason I don't watch video essays anymore, gamers. This right here. I don't watch them. I don't watch them. I hate video essays. I hate video essays and all video essayists. I'm unsubscribing from King K and Orm Alex tonight. You guys will have a fine worded letter in your inbox, okay? I'm gonna do the thing that everyone does. I unsubscribed, okay? I realized you guys were just wasting my time, okay? Get him out of here, all right? What a really lousy frame. I don't know what it means by that. What does this mean? I don't know what that means. That's mean. That's mean. That's mean. You can't say that. You can't say that. And we'll leave it there, games. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. Anyway, Mr. OTG Gaming. Honestly, they need to. I didn't think this space still had room for more unks like you. Maybe I think you should step aside, old man, and let the new video essay just takes your spot, okay? Hello there, me old chum. It's very probably a test of time. A potential small YouTuber gem or small YouTuber bad. Let's find out on today's stream. Let's go, gamers. Take it away, Mr. Sandro.
Replayability, the quality or fact of being suitable for or worth playing more than once.
Thanks, video essays. I appreciate that.
We hear the word replayability being constantly used to define art, be it video games, movies, or music. But none go together like replayability and video games.
Yeah.
They go together like Batman and Robin, Dante and Virgil, America and obesity. Since they're
true! I'm giving him an up chunkus already. That's so true.
Video games have been adept at utilizing replayability. Some of the best.
I would say, like, it's really weird. Just real quick before you chime in, real quick, replayability is becoming a bit of a weird one for me. As a kid, like, I used to like basically only really get like Mario games or what have you because I knew I'd enjoy them. I knew I'd be able to replay them because I had to make games last. You know, you guys are so fucking spoiled in the modern day. Oh, I don't have no money. You have Fortnite. Okay, shut up. Okay, you guys are fucking spoiled. All right, beyond spoiled. It's unbelievable. So I had to make like one game last, so I had to just like keep replaying the same games basically. So for me as a kid, replayability was really, really important. As an adult though, I've come more to terms with like I like the idea of a game, like it's really weird because like obviously I love the roguelike genre, which is kind of like you kind of essentially replay the game over and over and over in a way. But like I've never really felt the need to like, it's really rare that I want to replay a game after I'm done with it. And it's not like, even if the game is highly replayable, it's just more so I've experienced it. I kind of want to have new experiences, you know? Like I would say probably one of the most replayable games, replayability is high when you're broke, basically. One of the most, because funny enough, when I played Luigi's Mansion for the first time, couple months back, I think in October when it came on NSO, one of the things that people kept saying to me as to like why it's so good, it's like it's so replayable, Moresty, so replayable. And I'm just like, I don't doubt it is. I can see the mechanics in the game that make it so replayable. It's relatively short. There's not really much in the way of fluff. It's all killer, no filler, you know. But like I don't really care. To be honest, I just kind of want to. How fun's the game though? I'm not thinking about replaying the game. I kind of just want to play the game. So in a lot of cases, I'm not really too fast. Yeah, like I said, one of the most replayable games I played was a Neon White, which is a game like literally built around like optimizing the levels and going as fast and fast and fast as possible. And I loved like replaying the levels to get the gold medals when I was playing it. But now that I'm kind of done with it, I don't fancy replaying it more, you know? I would say one of the few games I go back, whenever I do go back and replay games, it's more so to just like experiencing it's a bit of like a nostalgic throwback to me. Hitman games. I think Hitman games were ones I used to love replaying as a kid. I used to obviously like, but I think Hitman games are. I actually think Hitman's a good example that they bring up Hitman. Hitman's a good game that like lends itself to replayability because you learn new things with every playthrough. But like, I think it's kind of like purposely designed that way. Whereas a game that isn't designed around the same way Hitman is designed, I don't really feel the inclination to replay. What do you guys think? Some retro games I could play in the other week. Super Mario World is another game I have to revisit. Yeah, it's just like, it's kind of short and fun, you know? The other games I have to revisit Mario 1 and Lost Levels. I've not played it, but my LARP is giving the impression that Dead Rising is kind of built around replayability. Not sure, I've never played that one, but I think it was on Xbox for the longest time. I just replay a game if I feel like it, but as an example of someone I can see myself replaying sometime soon. Same here. I believe aside from Pokemon games, I've replayed a lot of Pokemon games, but that's more so to experience like when I'm replaying a game, I'm doing it with the intent generally of experiencing new content. So a Pokemon, I want to use a new team of 6. I want to take a new, crack team of 6 to the Elite Four. Or usually it's 5 because I usually use the stars a lot. That's what it is. With Hitman games, I replay levels to experience like new ways to kill the target. You know, that's kind of how it is. You know, in my opinion, Sonic is the legend of replayability. I think Sonic games work too. I replayed a lot of those when I was a kid. I think they work as well. I replay it because I just like going through the same stuff with more efficiency. Yeah, definitely. I think I could definitely see there's definitely merits. Now I'm thinking about it, there's definitely more merits to certain games like being replayable, but I wouldn't say it's as much of a requirement for me. Like, one, because I just don't have the time to like play as much games as I used to, so I kind of value playing new experiences more so than mastering old ones. That's kind of how I feel about it. Replay value is a bonus. Yeah, that's kind of how I think about it now. It's not a requirement like it used to be when I was a kid and broke, but now it's more of a bonus, I would say. That's my overall stance, but yeah, let's continue with the video,
replayability. At utilizing replayability, some of the best video games have the best replayability in the world. Minecraft, any Mario game, and the OG God of War games, to name a few.
I'd say, yeah, Minecraft is definitely a game. There's a reason it has the meme of the 2-week Minecraft phase, because everyone loves a good Minecraft replay. Mario games, I feel like Mario games are easy pick up and put down type games. I'd say 2D Mario has more so that factor than 3D, maybe? Actually, I don't know. I'd say 3D Mario does. I'm kind of spitballing there. God of War can't speak to it because I played the woke God of War. I didn't play the classics, you know.
Replayability is, without a doubt, the reason why some games remain popular to this day. Any art or media would lose meaning if they were only
Hang on. Let me see.
Replayability is, without a doubt, the reason why some games remain popular to
The Last of Us? Replayable? I don't know if... I can't speak to Devil May Cry or the Metal Gear Solids. I don't think I'd put The Last of Us in this category, personally. I feel like one of its greatest assets is its story. And kind of when you've played that, like when you've experienced it, you're kind of just like... Because like the gameplay is like bog standard, if you ask me, when it comes to Last of Us. You're not really doing... Last of Us 2 has good gameplay. It's a shame that the story is a bit strange in its own ways. I did like The Last of Us 2, by the way. I know it's very controversial to say, but I think you've used a bad example here. But you know, small video essayist. Okay, we'll give him a pass. His OC is kind of cute and chungus. Okay.
This day, any art or media would lose meaning if they were only to serve a purpose of being consumed once and never again. Replayability is a test of time.
Is it? I'm curious to see how you sell me on this.
I was scrolling mindlessly on TikTok. I stumbled upon a video where two guys tried to guess this list's most replayable games. This list is fucking horrible. But what?
Hang on. Let me see the list. Risk of Rain 2. Can't speak. Hang on. Can I only really speak to Minecraft. I can't really speak to the rest of these, if I'm being honest. Skyrim. I think Skyrim's a replayable game, mostly with how much mods it has. I would err on the side of it being replayable. Binding of Isaac also works because like it's a kind of roguelike elements. I think it has like you do runs on that as well, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, hang on, he says it right here. I'm an idiot. Excluding Minecraft, TBOI, which one was that? The Risk of Rain 2 and Skyrim. So the list sucks except 4 of them. Okay, I mean, then the list doesn't really suck, does it? Okay, sure, all right.
What to guess this list's most replayable games? This list is fucking horrible. But what is more offensive than this list is the most liked comments in this video.
Okay.
Playable, and you guys said Last of Us.
Well, now why are they naming story games?
Well, yeah, because it's like, I would hazard a guess that like a lot of the with single player story games, once you've experienced the story, there's not really much you can replay. Like you're doing it for the gameplay, right? So like I know with Last of Us, I have no inkling to replay that game because like I've seen the story of Ellie and Joel. It's a fantastic story, one of the best stories in all of video gaming. But the gameplay wasn't really enough to carry that for me, if you ask me.
Guesses were single-player story games.
These comments make me want to wish for these people to slip on a Mario Kart Banana IRL.
Really? It got you that mad? It got you that mad, Mr. Sandro? Really? Interesting. Would you say the same about rewatching films? I feel like films are a bit of a different experience. Because it's like with films, I'd say with video games, right? There has to, like with a story-based video game, there's the story and the game, right? So you kind of have to be enjoying both, if that makes sense. So I feel like if the gameplay doesn't really hold up to scratch, I'm not really going to play the gameplay to get to the story. Whereas the movie, you can kind of just sit down and watch a movie. You can be like, oh, that was great. Let me watch it again and see, what did I miss? Is there like any other parts? Like you maybe rewatch it with someone to get like more of an experience with it, you know? So I feel like movies have inherently a bit more, a lot more rewatchability than games do. Because like with games, you're also playing the game, you know? So there's a bit, so the game has to be enjoyable along with the, with the gameplay and the story have to work together. So if one of them is kind of faltering, then it makes it harder to replay, you know? I think like, I wouldn't mind, for example, replaying Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1. I'd love to replay that because that's a story I haven't like experienced, because that's mostly story, isn't it? Like it's not really much in the way of gameplay there. So I'd love to re-experience that story and like maybe choose different decisions to see who likes me and hates me. That could be quite interesting. But like in terms of The Last of Us, again, the gameplay just isn't really anything to write home about, so I'm not really too interested. I'd watch all the cutscenes on YouTube perhaps, but yeah, rewatching also lets you spot foreshadowing. I guess you could say in like story-based video games if there's any foreshadowing there, but like since movies are generally like a lot more mature and medium when it comes to storytelling, it has a lot more of like generally a well-made movie has a lot more chops to it to like see a lot more of what's in the background or what's not intended, you know what I mean? Whereas in a video game, there's only so good you can make a video game story when like the gameplay is also like an important factor, you know what I mean? Whereas if you're focusing on a well-written story for like the big screen, you can account for so much more, and it generally has a bit more of a punch, and it's shorter as well. I think the shorter runtime also gives it a lot more punch too. So I think movies are just kind of a bit different in that regard. Good question though, thank you.
White squid. I feel like some people have a very warped sense of what replayability truly is.
Okay, what is it then? You tell me.
That story-based games aren't the only replayable games out there. It does ache my soul that people will sit on the mic stand and say that Flushed Away for the PS2 isn't replayable. Come on, guys. We know better than this. So now I have to let off some steam. Bust a load of words into the mic.
Whoa!
This might be ramblings of an old man, you know, old man yells at clouds scenario.
Brother, you sound like you're 23 at oldest, okay? You shut your mouth, young man, okay? Fetch me my dinner, okay? I'm hungry.
Again, but honestly, I have to let off some steam because this comment section has me having painful heartaches.
Oh yeah, you must be like older than 23 because one comment section's pissing you off for the first time. First time? Yeah, first time. Hey, did you just blow in from Stupid Town? What do you mean? I've seen loads of stupid comments in my lifetime. Hundreds, dozens, millions of them, Sandra. There's a whole new world. It's perfect.
Probably will put me in a cardiac arrest if I keep reading any of them and not letting this shit out. Replayability comes down to these 4 key points: player choice, a compelling story, engaging gameplay, and presentation / aesthetics. A game about player choice, engaging gameplay, and presentation
such as that. It's player choice. Yeah, obviously if there's more things to do, then it becomes more replayable, a la Hitman. A compelling story. I think a compelling story can make you want to replay a game, but like since the game portion gets in the way of the story portion, you might not want to. Like again, with the same with The Last of Us. The Last of Us is a perfect example. I'd rather replay Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1 for the story because there's not a lot of gameplay that gets in the way than The Last of Us, you know what I mean? At least right now, ask me. Engaging gameplay, I mean, that's a given, really. And presentation / aesthetics, yeah, if it looks nice, then I guess you want to replay, you know?
/ aesthetics.
It sounds like the components of a flat out good game, I'd say so, but hey, sell it to me, video essay man. Come on.
Player choice would be anything that shares a similar family tree to Minecraft or Super Mario 64. Both are different in gameplay. One is a sandbox and the other is a platformer, but both let you do whatever the fuck you want, and they do not hold your hand much in the game, allowing you to figure out things out yourself. We also put games with multiple dialogue choices like Mass Effect and Telltale games. Then we have the games with a good story, like Last of Us, Uncharted, and Red Dead Redemption. These games are seen as good shooters, with Red Dead being
hang on.
And Red Dead Redemption. These games are
I wouldn't say that, brother. I'll be real with you. I wouldn't say any of these games are particularly good shooters. Have you played a good shooter? I'm being honest. I'm not trying to be a cunt here. None of these are good shooters. They're okay. I'd say even solid at most. At most, you get solid. And even then, I'm thinking I'm being generous. Uncharted is like as simple as it gets. Last of Us, again, is as simple as it. All of these games are really simple when it comes to its shooting. Very, very, very simple. I could probably name like 3 more complex shooting games off the top of my head. Splatoon, Sniper Elite, Overwatch. There we go. I just named 3 right off the top of my head. Doom. There's another game of good shooting. Bulletstorm. I like the shooting in Bulletstorm. That was a good shooter. I play. You bumped into the wrong guy, unfortunately, Sandra. I'm very experienced. Ultra Kill. I got that from the chat. Fortnite. I'd say Fortnite is a better shooting game than all of these, but probably not my favorite. Apex Legends, that's a game with great shooting because it's basically Titanfall 2, which also brings me to Titanfall 2. Any Call of Duty game, say what you want about Call of Duty, yearly slop gun, slop, blah, 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 blah. The reason those games are so good is because the gunplay is just phenomenal. You could pick a Call of Duty game, I'd say, aside from maybe the COD 4 and like even World of War had good shooting. A lot of them have really good shooting, especially the modern ones. The modern ones are fantastic. So I would say, yeah, I would say from Modern Warfare 2, 2009 onwards, all of them have really good shooting. Halo, I can't really vouch for Halo, but I'll take your word for it. What else have we got? Yeah, a lot of good. Like there's so many games that have better shooting. The shooting is not the standout part of these games. I'll be real with you. Definitely not the best standout part. That's the overall point I'm trying to get at here.
seen as good story, like Last of Us, Uncharted, and Red Dead Redemption. These games are seen as good shooters, with Red Dead being held as a golden standard of polish. But I put these...
It's polish, not shooting. Yeah, Red Dead Redemption is one of the most polished games I've ever played in my life. Not that great a shooter. It's just like you cover and you shoot, and that's kind of it.
Games here into the story category, since let's be honest, all of these games share a similar thing.
I think they're definitely more story, I'd say, you know, than shooter.
Isn't the most impressive thing, and that is not the main.
Okay, he says it. I paused them too soon. Games. I paused them too soon. Yeah. I'd say that you're definitely there more for the story than the gameplay of these ones.
And why they're so memorable. It is the story. The desolate world of The Last of Us is still vividly imprinted onto my mind, even after not playing it for at least 6 years. Troy Baker's performance as Joel and Ashley Johnson's performance as Ellie should be evidence that video games should be seen as a medium instead of just a way to kill time while waiting for your McDonald's order. While it is annoying to see Troy in literally everything, you can't deny that the man can act. Uncharted 2 is a game I haven't played all the way through, but despite that, I remember the beginning.
Lob, sahur. Lob, sahur. I can't believe it. Lob.
Beginning very vividly. Nathan Drake haven't played all the way through, but despite that, I remember the beginning very vividly. Nathan Drake covered in blood, sitting in a train that is.
It is probably one of the best video game openings. It is a fantastic opening sequence. I love it,
and it scratches that Indiana Jones itch. I could go on and on and on and on, but you get the picture. Games that follow this formula are very much replayable. Man, the reason why people like this game is because of the story. The gameplay is so overrated. But
yes, I agree. You made me. Why did you make me sound like the straw man voice? What the hell? What the Sigma?
What the Sigma?
It's the point. That is the point of this game. It is not to have gameplay be front and center, but have the story be the main focus.
Okay, then why make it a game instead of a movie? Yeah, why? That's the question that I ask you. Like, right now, I'd rather watch The Last of Us all cutscenes than play The Last of Us. Because the gameplay chops weren't really all that amazing, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I don't want to play mid gameplay to get to good story. I'd rather good gameplay and good story. That's what would make it replayable. You know, that's why I'd rather replay Telltale's The Walking Dead or The Wolf Among Us. You know.
That is why the gameplay is so simple. Look at Daft Punk, for example. Daft Punk has come so far because of the fact that they make catchy instrumentals. They were never about having a deeper meaning in their lyrics, because if you look at Around the World, well, do I have to explain what it even has lyrically?
You don't have to.
And I see a lot of slander towards...
But again, music is different from video games. I'm playing video games. I don't need to spend an hour doing some shitty puzzle that I've done a million times to enjoy Around the World, Around the World. There's a difference there. Come on now.
Cinematic games, but we have to remember that cinematic games are also something that should be respected.
Even if the gameplay's mid, just watching the cutscenes isn't as good. I don't know about that. I'd rather just rewatch the cutscenes, to be honest.
Because if we wouldn't have any cinematic games, we would also something that should be respect games. But we have to remember that cinematic games are also something that should be respected. Because if we wouldn't have any cinematic games, we would have no MGS games, no Last of Us, no Uncharted, no Red Dead Redemption.
All right, I respect them. It's a shame that a lot of them tend to skip on the gameplay. I don't for a first playthrough, I think it works. But for repeat playthroughs, it definitely doesn't. And that's why I like Marvel's Spider-Man so much. You know, I respect it, but I don't want to replay them. That's why I like Marvel's Spider-Man. Marvel's Spider-Man has the gameplay's amazing. The game's amazing. If you've not played Spider-Man PS4, go play it. But I actually really like the story in that too. I think it was it wasn't anything to write home about. But I really like the story in that game. I think it was quite interesting and intriguing. So I'd rather replay that, you know? That's a good game.
All of the games that are seen as definition of golden standard in the gaming industry, they would not exist at all. And the gaming would probably...
At all of them? Without storytelling? Is that the point you're trying to make? Hang on. Let me go back a bit.
No MGS games, no Last of Us, no Uncharted, no Red Dead Redemption. All of the games that are seen as definition of golden standard in the gaming industry, they would not exist at all. And gaming would probably be less popular. Then we get to the gameplay.
Well, because without cinematic games? I don't know about that. Not all. Some wouldn't exist, but not all of them. Like, would Mario not exist? Or Mario not be the way it is? Would FIFA? We're putting FIFA on there as well. I mean, if you're talking about like cutscenes and what have you, then sure, I guess it's nice that like cutscenes and like the design is being Hitman is. Why is Hitman here? Hitman doesn't need cutscenes. The gameplay was already phenomenal.
Definition of golden standard in the gaming industry, they would not exist at all, and gaming would probably be less popular. Then we get to the gameplay.
What would the issue of that be? In fact, some people might argue that the fact that gaming is too popular is probably one of its biggest detriments right now. So, like, I don't know. When you say, like, gaming would be less popular, would that be a bad thing? Like, I think gaming was less popular 20 years ago, but the game seems to be... The games back then were, like, pretty okay. This guy seems to be yapping. Oh, cut him some slack, guys. Cut him some slack. He's new at this, okay? Leave him alone. Stop being so mean, guys. You guys are being a bunch of meanie poopy heads. You leave Sandra alone. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where gaming was like not as popular 20 years ago, but games were still great back then. And while they've progressed quite nicely in those 20 years, I don't think I don't think it's to do with cinematic. I don't know, to be honest.
Likes fighting games, racing games, and games where the story is not the focal point, i.e. Sifu. Now, I wasn't born 5 seconds ago. I'm not high off of gummy bear powder. I know that gameplay is an integral part of the game.
Of course.
However, gameplay can be the complex part of the game, and the story could just be SpongeBob and Patrick go to New York and start fighting local crackheads. The story could be as simple as that, and you'd think nothing of it because the gameplay is so captivating and passionate as depth. But like many good games, you can have gameplay and story be on equal footing. The Arkham series, Ocarina of Time, and Shadow of the Colossus.
I mean, I suppose Ocarina of Time is on equal fronts, gameplay and story, and that they're both kind of Batman games. I'd give it to Batman Arkham Asylum. I've played that one. Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus. Not played it. Can't LARP.
Games that have perfect harmony with gameplay, where the gameplay and story are equal, where both can share the spotlight and be the protagonist instead of other being a supporting character. Aesthetic slash present.
And well, again, but that's your issue though, right? Your issue is that there are games where that's literally this. It's the games you showed earlier. Like, what's it like? Your Uncharted, your Red Deads. It's literally this, which is why I don't really want to replay them. You know? So we're kind of losing the source a little bit, but continue. I'll let you continue.
Character. Aesthetic slash presentation is also a very important factor to take into account. And some games nowadays neglected almost totally. People give flack for games being overly edgy. Say what you want, but at least back in the day, the games were very aesthetically prominent. And it doesn't have to be super edgy stuff either. Beautiful Joe, Okami, Parappa the Rapper. Did I say that right?
Parappa. No, it's Parappa the Rapper. And I mean, you mentioned these games, sure. I think we need to. So I'm gonna time you out for half an hour. Go play some Ultra Kill, okay, and then you can come back later when you're normal, okay? But as for these, I'm just kind of like, well, I'm sure I could pick 4 games in the modern day that also have really strikingly different aesthetics. So if you're saying like old games did this and new games don't, I'm kind of like, well, I don't know if I agree with that. Like new games can also have strikingly different styles, especially even more so now that the indie space is very much like booming, you know?
Spider-Man and Jet Set Radio are just some examples where the aesthetics just burn into your retinas even after you've turned your console.
Yeah, but like a Hi-Fi Rush though? Like someone mentioned Hi-Fi Rush in the chat. Hi-Fi Rush is a good instance where like they've done that in the modern day too.
Unfortunately, games like this aren't being made too often anymore, but
I think they still are. I think you just don't know where to look. I think that's your issue. I think you just don't know where to look, if I'm being honest. I think more you might not see more of it in the AAA space, but you definitely see it more in the indie space. That's for damn sure.
Fortunately, the indie scene always innovates to the
I paused too soon.
Point where they even outperform the big guys by miles without even trying to have Uncle Scrooge money lined up. Presentation
so what's the issue then?
Look at art for any film / game / music cover. They all have a distinct look to them to reel you in with their allure. Like, would you rather buy this or this? Shit, you know me, I know which I'm picking.
Huh, but Sandro, story games just end. They have a start and an end. What about...
All right, this is for you, bro.
I won't pretend like we've not like I think someone said that this video is all over the place. I think I'm starting to get to that point, gamers. I think we've got lost in the sauce a little bit, Sandro. I think we've got a little bit lost. So I'll be honest with you. I'm taking my up chungus back. I've reverted it to a down chungus. I like the editing. The editing's nice. I agree. I'll take my down chungus back.
Before I continue to what I'm about to say, I'll be very clear and concise. I like multiplayer games. I can't come here onto my podium.
Thank you for the basic take, video essay man. You wouldn't be a video essay man without it. It seems to come with the territory.
Huff and puff and spew a bunch of multiplayer propaganda, denying the existence of multiplayer games and shaming them to oblivion would be hypocritical, since one of my favorite games is multiplayer.
Why would you do that anyway? I mean, it sounds weird that you have to give that caveat. Why would you show multiplayer games Let's continue.
Arguably the best game I've ever played. Quirky, unique, whimsical, and charming. All of these can be found in its story mode. The gameplay is buttery smooth. The characters are wacky, and the power-ups are awesome. The gameplay is overall very fantastic. Overall, a really good platformer. But that is only one half of the game. The other half is filled with stages made by other players. You have platform levels, you have minigame levels, you have parkour levels, costume giveaways, horror levels, movies, other game recreations, anything you can think of. It felt like there was no limit to people's creative ability. It was a blast and a sight to see. At least it was.
It was before it got shut down, right?
Like all multiplayer games, the game died.
F's in the chat, gamers.
Games stop being replayable to a certain extent when you take away online capabilities. Little Big Planet isn't really affected by this, since the story mode is very fun to play and replay alone or with more people. But what about something like Need for Speed 2015, a game that's gonna meet the inevitable fate? Many Need for Speed titles are getting their servers taken down, but the difference is that some Need for Speed games, like Rivals for example, offer a single player campaign in addition to having multiplayer features tacked onto them. A game that's constantly online will fade and dwindle, never to be...
Not if Stop Killing Games end up being a success, right guys? None of this happens. That's why you guys got a petition, okay?
Again, multiplayer games need some form of support, and publishers try constantly to do a Looney Tunes chair pull, constantly trying to fuck over consumers. Because let's be real, every person, every company nowadays thinks that they can have that Fortnite levels of fame.
Yeah, that's true.
The equivalent of Chinese companies.
I'm not sure what it has to do with this. I hope you circle it back around, because I mean you're right, but we're kind of getting a little lost here, Mr. Sandro, I'll be honest.
Trying to copy games, but having a slightly different
This is true, yes, I agree.
Having a different game.
A lot of companies be wanting their Fortnite,
battle royales. You cannot compete with Fortnite.
Yes,
Every
true,
time
yes,
I hear that
I agree.
someone's going to be making a new battle royale, I just groan in disappointment, because I know that it's going to be very uninspired, and it's not going to hold people's attention for long. Instead of having a mentality of an annoying businessman whose only experience with gaming is playing Heyday and Candy Crush, why not make something that could be played 20 years later and be enjoyable? Why not make it timeless?
Okay, that's true. Okay, I have no idea what that whole segment needed, but okay, I will be. The video editing has been fun, but like I still. I mean, at least, okay, for a new channel, he at least has that part of the video essay down where he's just rambling about for 10 minutes. You've got that down pat. So you're approved. You could be a video essayist. The editing chops are great, which means you can't be a video essayist because they all have to have bad editing, right? So I think it's weird. You're good at video essaying because you're waffling, but you're bad at it because the editing's good. We need to strike some middle ground here, Sandro. We definitely need to do that. Definitely.
I'm not reading all of that. Now, I have no issues with Fortnite. I think it's interesting that they get so many collabs and the concerts.
Okay, but you felt the need to sidetrack your video by a notable margin. Okay, let's get back to brass tacks. Come on.
Very cool. The latest collab that they did with Daft Punk was an absolute blast to watch on YouTube since I'm too lazy to download Fortnite, but my point still stands. But not every game can be Fortnite. Not every game can have Master Chief, Peter Griffin, and Darth Vader playing against Travis Scott and Gojo, and have Kratos twerk on the sidelines.
I love Kratos twerking.
The Battle Royale genre is exhausted to the point where everyone, no matter if you're young or old, a flamingo or a dog, from Mars or from Pluto, everyone can come together and shit on the game genre because it's so overdone.
Oh, I get it! Give me the ball!
Games need to be more distinctive. That is why everything matters so much.
But was that the overall point? You said that earlier. And we're getting back to that.
Look at Skate, for example.
Okay.
A lot of people have clowned the game for looking like Fortnite. That is why presentation / aesthetics are so important, because they reel you in and make you stand out from the crowd.
Okay, but like, what does that have to do with replayability, though? I agree with this. What does that have to do with replayability? Yeah, there's a lot of games that try and, like, you know, neuter their art styles to be a bit Fortnite-centric. I don't think that's a phenomenon that affects replayability too much, or at least not worth it to...
Sorry, guys. Looks do play a part in this. I mean, really.
No, yes, we know. Yes, I agree. I think all of us can agree with that. Yes.
Tell the difference between the Crew, Motorfest, and Forza Horizon. The UI looks like looking at a mirror. But compare those two games with Blur, and then you see what I'm talking about. Visual difference.
Okay, what about the gameplay, though? I mean, again, I know the point is...
Take a break from video games, and let's talk about movies instead.
We barely talked about video games. This is Mario Galaxy movie pacing. I said, I like the editing. I like the style. I like what you've gone for here. But like, I don't know what we did. I feel like I've been sat here for 12 minutes. Like, you complain that, you know, Fortnite is all rot and Fortnite sucks and it's all brain rot. That's how I felt during this video. I don't know, it's all been in one ear, out the other. I don't know, I've got no information. What was all our movies now? I have no idea what's happening. Why have you got Rush Hour on there?
Driver, Casino Royale,
okay.
Everything Everywhere All at Once. I love that film. Rush Hour.
I love that film.
Watched all of these movies in a row. They've all stamped themselves culturally. Some might have faltered a bit, I admit. I've watched these movies more than once because they're very good, duh. But also to see how well they age, because good art is timeless. There's so many movies and games.
With video games, you're playing games, and sometimes like mechanics like sensibilities change, mechanics. I feel like video, like there's a big interesting conversation to be happened here. Is Sandra going to do it? Come on.
Being released. Majority of gaming can be fun, but when you turn off your console, you're just going to be thinking about everything except the actual game. But the best games / movies will sit with you for days, years even.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
It will leave you feeling depressed because you can't watch it for the first time again. A lot of movies become dated, and a lot of games also become dated as soon as they're released. But good movies have people posting 20 analysis videos that study the movie for eons after it was released, because that's what good art does. It creates conversation. And in my eyes, if we all would just stop rewatching or replaying media, how can we truly gain any appreciation for the art? The lack of replay.
I agree that like it's an important factor if you're gonna reanalyze stuff. But okay, is it okay? Come on.
It reduces the the art. The lack of replayability kills art. It reduces the lifespan of the art that we consume. People still talk about Metal Gear Solid 2.
But you can still talk about art. Like, I feel like I know where he's going, but hang on. I want to let him finish. Hang on.
Terrifying fourth wall breaks in the latter half of the game because they're fantastic. They give me goosebumps and have me shaking in the corner like Courage the Cowardly Dog. But what if we consume that game only once? No replays, no nothing. We consume it once and never again. How do you know that this game is a classic? How do you know that it has stood the test of time? Legit, 90% of the music that I listen to are just songs that I've heard a million times already. But I've heard the argument that some people don't want to replay.
I mean, I suppose like replayability of like, I suppose if something, I feel like if something stands the test of time and something's replayable, like two different arguments. At least that's what it comes across to me, right? Something being replayable, meaning it stood the test of time, mechanically, is different. Like, a movie can stand the test of time because it's like messaging is timeless or something like that. And like it's important. Like with Fight Club, I feel like Fight Club is quite good in that regard. But with video games, I think it's a bit different, you know? I feel like they're a bit different to compare, because with gaming, you have to play it as well at the same time. So there's a bit of a difference there. So I feel like the replayability of a game versus a movie, or the rewatchability of a movie, are like a bit, they're not analogous, they're not 1-1, I would say.
Play a game because they don't want to experience something old. They want to experience something new.
Why
read an old book 1,000 times when you could read or watch or consume something new? Okay,
that's kind of where I'm at with games.
Point.
Yeah,
but what you're describing is a TikTok user. Now, hear me out.
No, I just want new experiences to play. You said hear me out, so I hear you out. I just want new experiences to play. That doesn't mean I can't discuss the art of what I've played. I just want to play new things, because like with video games, it's different. Video games tend to be longer, and it tends to be like a lot more to it than just like a movie, for example. I'd really watch Rush Hour because I think the jokes still stand up, and I think it's different. It's different. I feel like we're just comparing like apples and oranges a little bit, you know? What about narrative-driven games? Would you say they're a different ballpark to most games? I'd say so. I feel like this conversation could delve into a lot of interesting nuances, but unfortunately, on account of Sandro being relatively new at this, I feel like we've jumped about like every 6 ways to Sunday, and we've barely touched ground. You know what I mean?
Hear me out.
Okay.
Listen,
I'm hearing.
A TikTok user constantly consumes new content that doesn't get a second thought. Art deserves a second chance.
No, I agree. But with TikTok, it's deliberately designed in such a way to have you mindlessly scrolling for hours and hours and hours. It's designed purposely that way. Video games are not. When I play Mini Shoot Adventures, I have no inkling to replay that game, really. But like, I loved every minute I played of it, and I dissect it right now. I love the way... I love the dynamic, like not dynamic difficulty, but I love the way the game kind of like ramped this up. I think one of the things I love about the game, one thing I was worried about in like a Zelda shmup type game, is I wanted it to lean more into the Zelda-isms than the shmup-isms. I didn't want it to be like bullet hell, I'm dodging 7 million billion things all the time. And one thing I love about the game is that they save that mostly for the boss battles and the dungeons. So it feels like you're more exploring stuff in the overworld, but more doing like the bullet helly type things in dungeons, which gives you time to like level up, refine your skills. They have like, you know, challenges like in the overworld, obviously, like, you know, enemy encounters and what have you. But those are definitely don't compare to the ones in dungeons. And I quite like that. So video games being longer gives you more time to sit with it, gives you more time to consume it. So it's designed in such a way where like it benefits from you, like especially considering most times with video games, you play it for a session, then you leave, and then you could have time to fit on it, like sit on it and mull on it, then you play it again, then you have time to sit on it, and then like you finish it, and then now you have like the refined take. Whereas with TikTok, you watch it and it's gone immediately without a passing thought. It's designed purposely that way, but video games don't. So I could see the surface level comparison you're making, but the moment you hold that to scrutiny, it doesn't really work. I'm going to be honest.
Art needs a second chance.
And then, of course, I think someone mentioned that, in my opinion, the worst games are puzzles, because the knowledge base, so once you already know the secrets and the knowledge, what is there to come back to? Yeah, exactly. Like, Portal 2 is like one of my favorite games of all time. But like, I don't really feel the inkling to play that because I've already like beat it and I know the puzzles and solutions and what have you. Maybe like years from now, if I've forgotten like the nuances of that game, then sure. But like right now, I don't feel the need to play that game. I'd replay it to listen to Stephen Merchant as Wheatley because I think his voice work is phenomenal. But yeah, like that's an example. Would you consider Portal 2 like a game that hasn't really stood the test of time because it's not very replayable? I would say it does. I would say it's a phenomenal video game. Like when it came out and like right now. But so when you say replayability is a test of time, is it? I don't know really.
What if
and your whole video hasn't really done hasn't really dissected that? We kind of just all over the place, I'll be honest with you.
Game you tried as a kid ended up being a hood classic now. What if you gave it another chance? We try to always brush off old things because let's be real, people look at a game from the PS2 era and think it looks like dog shit that a fifth grader could make in Blender.
I think that's a problem that your generation in particular has, not me, obviously.
We tend to look at a new car and shit on the old ones because the new one looks more appealing. But what good is a new car that looks like any other versus something that looks...
Well, I think the comparison kind of fails you because like old cars and new cars might have... I think with video games, again, I think video games are... even though they're old, like even old video games, even though like some of them might not be much lookers, I still think the gameplay portion is so important where I don't think people would write them off as easily as they do cars. at least a gamer that actually wants to play games. Obviously, I imagine you're young enough where you're talking to your classmates who just like write off anything that isn't Fortnite, right? But like, I imagine if we got like the real gamers in my community, just because a game looks a bit like old and busted doesn't mean it's bad. I think we all know that, right?
Timeless.
Yeah, video games being old won't cause accidents. That's true.
An NSX or a Toyota Century. And honestly, gaming is not a rat race to be constantly stimulated with new stuff. Knowing what you like is important, but also having that balance as well is good. Embrace both new and old. All games deserve a second chance because you never know if a game is going to be a fleeting memory or a timeless classic.
No, I agree. I agree with that. But like, I agree with that in the sense that I think you should replay a game if you're not sure on your take of it anymore. Like if you played a game and you enjoyed it, then sure. But like if you're not sure about how you'd feel about the game now, I think you probably owe a replay to it to see how you personally feel. Not to see if it's a timeless classic, but more so to gauge your feelings on it, you know? That's what I would say.
All right, video over. I just want to say a huge thank you to you for watching. I also want to extend my gratitude to those who have subscribed.
Well, Sandro, I'm going to be honest with you. The video wasn't particularly good. I did like the editing, and I like your energy. But I definitely think the video lacked focus. It was TikTok, ironically enough. In that you said a lot of things, but genuinely I have no idea what you like meant. I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm not even genuinely not being a cunt here. I don't remember a single thing you said. I think you mentioned Little Big Planet, and you said that shooter games like you were playing them all for the. I don't remember. It 100% wasn't focused. And I think for the next time, if this is your thesis statement, if you are going to be successful in the video essay format, I think you definitely need to write an outline. I think you definitely need to, because I don't feel like you tied everything into a neat bow at the end. Like I said, your editing is great. I love your energy. Even the lower quality mic gives you a nice aesthetic little touch. But overall, you lost that round, but it's not over yet. Get ready for the next round, but not derogatory. I mean that with kindness. Sandra, okay? Now come back and finish your homework next time, all right? Let's do some Bravo. Let's have a look at the comments. Maybe next time, Sandra. Maybe next time, huh? As long as the game can be opened more than once without deleting itself, someone out there has probably made it their forever game. Trust me, the internet does that a lot. I believe in him. I believe in him. I think you can do better. He definitely has the energy and the editing chops. Not so much the writing, at least not yet. But he's got a long way to go. For bleed style, it does bleed style. I love seeing new video essays pop out to my feed. You just earned us up. Also, you talk about replayable games. My thoughts always turn to 2D Metroid games. I mean, yeah, your thoughts turn to that and not how good the video was, eh? Wait! The Look franchise is so much better. I wish Sony gave it another chance. True. You know, I actually agree with that. Up Chungus. Great vibes. Great vibes and talk about games spiced with humor. This is a chat GPT comment. Okay, down Chungus. So there's such high quality. You're gonna blow up soon. No, we can't make video. That's true actually. Default Dans have been quite funny today. Notice they praise the editing itself. It's almost as if how do you win as a video essayist? Just bombard them with good editing. Blah blah blah. I got good style. Blah blah blah. So you're not going to get one over me, Sandra. Okay, I'll tell you that much. The video could be presented, but the video can have the most boring editing possible. If you say the right things, I love you long time. Okay, that's what I do. I like substance. It could be no style if you have all the substance. I love you. Okay. That's why I like King K. I don't think he does much on the editing front. It's not slick in the slightest, but I like what he says. Okay. I like what he says. Neat algo pull. Found comment on the improvements, balancing your volume levels and the transition music. I found myself having to lower my volume. It was a bit rough. But it's more the script. You have less. Okay. See, Sandra, it's very important that you listen. Don't listen to these guys. Don't listen to these guys. I'm not even being a cunt when I say this. Don't listen to these guys. Okay? These guys are how you become complacent. The problem with being a small YouTuber is that everyone gives you props for a small YouTuber. And as a result, you don't get like earnest, you don't get a lot of earnest comments. Because like one of my favorite things about being a 10K Andy, I'm not even joking, guys. I have not, ever since I hit 10K, I have not gotten a single comment of someone saying, wow, this is your sub count? Just so underrated, Moresty. And I'm so fucking glad I don't get those comments anymore, because it just blows smoke up your ass into thinking you're a much bigger deal than you are. Which, don't get me wrong, Sandra. Like I said, I think your editing and presentation is good, but the writing definitely needs some work, all right? So I think this is like a bit much, you know, it's a bit much. So I'm a big fan of the fact that I don't get those comments anymore. I'm correctly rated, thank you, in that I think I'm pretty good. I'd say. So yeah, that's how it is. So you gotta be careful, okay? You gotta be careful with this thing. And I'll leave it there. I think I'll leave it there. I don't think there's much else to see in this comment section. Sandro, listen, come back. I'll check back in on you in a year, okay? I'll be watching your career with great interest. We'll move on. But yeah, that's more advice to you guys, okay? Be careful, okay? Be careful when you hear, oh, you're such a good YouTuber for your size. Yeah, everyone's going to say that. Everyone's going to blow smoke up your ass, okay? Are you actually good, though? That's what you got to know. Okay, what is this? What the hell have you guys made now?
Bullshit. Derivative. That I love. I absolutely love.
Hey, listen, he's as pretentious as a video essay. So I think he's got that down pat. Heartbreaking, I'm slow and boring. I'm breaking at speed and rambling. Oh, did we bump into the polar? I didn't even notice that. We bumped into slow. I'm slow and boring. What a fascinating face. Oh man, you both have problems, but there's one I have more hope for. Let's put it that way. Let's put it. Same thing actually. Oh, what's this? I love Kratos twerking. True. Thank you. You guys can't see it, but there's a mini version of me with stars in my eyes. Thank you, Mercy Overwatch, for handing Kratos to me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, he just needs to tie a script, definitely. What if every game had a feature that barely featured the game? What? That's a good meme. That's a good meme. Why are you guys using? You guys think you're better than me? It's just, yeah, we're just kind of having fun here, I'll be honest. No optimizations, no collisions, no time skip, no analysis, no discussion, no frame rate dropping, no FOV changes, no walk up, no fun, no speed running, no. And there's no in between. Either you get way too personal, or you give us like Doki Doki Panic is. What the fuck? Unused to. Okay, that's just hurt. Okay, let's stop. That hurt. Like, who made this? Who made? Yeah, man. Okay, that hurt. Let's go. Alright, good memes, guys. Good memes. You guys are too fast with this shit. Okay, you gotta stop. You guys gotta stop. You're too good with this. Okay.